friends, family, friends and family, I do know my dad's watching, so I'm throwing in family. But honestly, y'all are my family, I see the names here. Oh, my God. Well, Amy Shinton's here. She's family. That's Nick's wife. What's up, my sister? Well, thanks for coming and spending Labor Day Sunday here. I picked this date a while ago, and somebody's like, that's Labor Day weekend. I was like, balls. I think it'll be okay. I want to just give a couple words about the intro music today. All right? EQ Ev. Okay, he's in the chat. This is the third release from Evan DeGigian, a.k.a. EQ Ev. He's a 15-year-old and also plays classical piano, mallets, and percussion. And I just got to say, when you have a friend and then you meet their family and their kids and their wife, and it's like you kind of just love them even more. This is the case, okay? Sam DeGigian, Evan's dad, you might know as Morph Acoustic. That guy, okay? They live north of me a couple hours in LA. And Sam's been down here, played modular on the spot. I've been up to LA, seen him play. And he always shows up with his family. And modular on the spot should be like that. It's like a family picnic in the grass. We got our kids running around. It's awesome. My girls are like, oh, so-and-so brought their kids again. It's like, this is good. And I've always been blown away at Sam's family. I love these kids. His wife's awesome. It's cool. So this is Evan DeGigian. This is his album, which you just heard. So you guys talk about wanting to support the kids, do it for the kids, all that. Down below in the description is the link to Evan's Bandcamp page. Please consider supporting EQF. Thank you. God, Friday was Bandcamp Friday, and I was starting to make a list and was going to give all these shout outs to all the albums, but I'm not going to do it because there's too many, and I know that I would leave somebody out and there'd be butthurtness. And so I'll just say that, man, our community is alive and well, and people are releasing such good music. It's really quite remarkable. I want to welcome the new channel supporters and Patreon supporters of this fiercely independent channel. Matt D just signed up as the show was starting on Patreon. Thank you so much for considering supporting Modular World. Just as a reminder, you can sign up on Patreon. The link is below, or if you're a YouTube channel member kind of person, you can hit the join button right below. All right? Second tier members get downloads of the whole show in audio. Amazing. Okay. So, God, we got a lot to cover. Discord has continued to go off this past month, and the next show is going to be the Patch On series that I'm starting on Modular World, in addition to the regular monthly show like this. And Patch On is a patch challenge. What's up, Sequinox? Rick Bader. Patch On is a patch challenge show where every show I'm going to come up with a theme for the show. And I wasn't going to start the first show off as a genre. It was going to be more like a tech challenge. But we went with techno, the broadest, most undefinable genre in electronic music. And 34 people signed up. I had to close the sign up because it was just going to become like another anniversary show. It is 5 to 7 minute jams, so it's going to be pretty bite size. But the videos that people have sent in are just amazing. You're seeing like techno artists do their thing. You're seeing experimental artists do their version of it. You're seeing ambient artists do their version of techno, what they're calling techno. It's going to be awesome. That show is September 19. So a couple weeks, we're going to have that show. It's going to be awesome. Mandy in the chat just sent her video in yesterday. I don't want to give it away, but it's so good. Meta John, got your video yesterday. Just bringing it. Okay, moving on. Did you guys see the Indonesian show last month? I know some of you did. If you missed it, gotta go and watch it. Boy, love was in the air. That was a really, really special show. Next month, coming up, is our spotlight on Montreal. I did see some of our Canadian friends here from Montreal. I saw Alexa Mom Taz is here. She played a couple episodes ago. Spotlight on Montreal next month. That's been a pleasure curating and talking to these people. It's a great scene happening up in Montreal. Okay. Let's just get this going. All right. Let's just do this. All right. Enough talk. I just want to say hi and greet and, get the show going. All right. Our first performer is Jared Kozub, who performs as Ice Locus. All right. Jared Kozub is from Winnipeg, in the center of Canada, where it's winter for 6 months a year, hence the name Ice Locus. He's played guitar for over 20 years, and for the past 4 years, he's been playing with VSTs and started making field recordings of nature trips he's gone on. During the pandemic, he started learning about modular synths after discovering that his Moog grandmother and subharmonicon are more fun when played together. In August 2020, he enrolled in a course with Sarah Bell Reed, dear friend of the show and also friend of mine, to study synthesis using VCV rack. In December, he took the plunge into Eurorack to create a hybrid setup for routing the computer to his external synths. Since January this year, he started composing a sonic journey for his first album called Beyond the Loci that was released just this week. Or last month. Right, because we played it as the intro music to last show. Sorry. Released it on Bandcamp. He performed his first modular set in May on the Modular World Anniversary show. Some of you might recall that. He enjoys combining acoustic instruments and samples using granular synths and other effects like delay in his ambient music. This next point we're going to touch on when I talk with Jared live in just a few minutes. He's a design engineer who does metal 3D printing and has recently co-founded Zeta Transis Custom Instruments as a side project for making cool parts for electric guitars and modular synths. We'll talk about that in a minute. My friends, this is Ice Locus. Jared, see, I've been wanting to have you on the show longer form. You were on the anniversary show, which was great. I appreciate. However, the sets were short, and I've been really wanting to get you on and do this proper. So, welcome to the
Thanks
show,
for having me.
Ice Locus. What a great way to start the show, right?
Yeah, I call that piece spherical chill because I guess because I have my sphere there and then I have the spherical wavetable navigator. So uh, that's just sort of, I want a nice relaxing piece.
I get it. Yeah, that's great. I mean, sometimes I want to start the show with like a big boom and have everybody be like, yeah, boom. But other times it's like, no, let's just ease in. Yeah, perfect. So tell us about this setup, and you're using the wooden box from Sarah and Ryan, right?
Yeah, that's the sputter from Gradient Instruments. So it's basically a cedar box, I think from like Arkansas. I don't know. And it has like a contact mic on the inside and like a rubber layer on the outside. And you can make little squeaking noises and stuff. And then, hook it up to basically anything that takes audio and you can do stuff to it. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in my case, I basically just went and I have that plugged into my audio interface, and then I'm running it through a bunch of delays and some black hole like reverb shimmery effect. So
Right.
uh, you put some delays on it, sounds really good.
Yeah. I mean, what a great improv. I love the structure of like a couple of elements that you can just kind of just visit on random, you know?
Yeah, I know. Originally, I was going to have a more energetic set, but then I was all set up to film. But then my uncle passed away that day, and I was already
Right.
set up to film it. And I was like, I don't really feel like blasting the Moogs today. So I thought, okay,
Right.
I'm going to make this super chill, super relaxing, and it'll be a good time just to get lost in the music.
Well, you messaged me about that and I'm like, man, if this is a time to like say, "Hey, I'm out," like fair enough, but like you pushed through and you made this for us, and I think it comes with this like it happened that day, right?
Yeah,
Right? So we get all the emotion and the stuff that was inside of you, and I'm sure still is inside of you, kind of packed into this. It's thank you so much for sharing that, you know. That's a real gift to do that. I'm not sure I would have done that. So nice work,
yeah,
man. Yeah.
yeah. So basically, for my patch, I had four items that I wanted to sort of showcase that weren't really modular stuff. There's the sphere, the pot lid with the contact mic
Mm-hmm.
on it, and
Mm-hmm.
I had a spinning top. That was sort of cool, sort of an Inception vibe going on there.
Yeah,
And
really
then I
cool.
had the sputter, and then also the what do you call what's the other thing? The Landscape FM stereo
Oh
field,
yeah, yeah, right.
just to do some crazy feedback solo thing. But I didn't want to make it too over the top, but I just put it in there at the sort of the end for a nice sort of texture. And then for the modular stuff, I went with sort of a hybrid mix of I used two different synth apps from my iPad,
Mm-hmm.
patched that in through my ES9 into my rack, and then for the hardware modular stuff, I took my KeyStep Pro and I hooked it up to the spherical wavetable navigator, and I basically made a fugue out of that, playing the same sequence of notes but at different speeds and in different directions,
Mm-hmm.
at different octaves, sort of to come up with this cool sort of I don't know, just cool thing. And then I ran it all through a bunch of delay, the Chrono Blob, and also
Mm-hmm.
the Polymoon from Maris pedal, and the sort of dreamy pads in the background was the Hydrasynth, looping that. And there was one other thing. What? Oh, I had the Zlob modular fixed filter bank
Mm-hmm.
distortion feedback thingy. That was my first time really using it in a performance.
Nice.
But when I had the iPad playing two outputs and one was going through that, so you could hear in one section you sort of heard the sort of a low around 100 hertz or so, like a sort of a low sound, and that was basically from me playing with the levels, because I had the envelope of that triggering the feedback distortion to kick in when I was only playing certain notes.
Oh, I see. God, it like looks so simple, but there's a lot of there's a lot here. I think also this is a good reminder for just everybody watching now or in the future that like yes, we are modular centric here, but we're about making music, and I mean using everything you've got and any kind of hybrid system, acoustic instruments. It's like, you know, I believe in it, but this crowd, you know, this audience does too. You know, I love seeing it. And how did that top spin the whole time?
I got it off Amazon,
What kind of a
and it
top is that?
says, um,
It's
let
like
me
the
see.
magic top.
I don't know if you can read that. It says, what does that say? Loquatidus? I don't know. I got it off
Hmm.
Amazon, but apparently it will spin for 8 minutes if it's on a nice flat surface.
Oh, I see.
Um,
And that was a nice flat surface. Yeah.
well, it was a pot lid,
Right,
so I
right.
here's the thing: it won't make a sound on a nice flat surface because it's just spins. There's
Mm-hmm.
not much friction.
Yeah.
So that's why I put it on the pot lid to let it sort of ride up and down, and as it rides up and down, there's some friction, so you get some vibrating.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, but all of those four instruments, the acoustic instruments that I had it all on a plexiglass sheet because I'm running out of space. I don't have a table, so I put it on this plexiglass sheet on a couple stools, and they each have their own contact mic. So anything you do on one affects the other three. So I went, and whenever I played the high C note on the sphere, it would go and the pot lid would resonate, and it would cause the top to jump a bit, and that's where you would hear this sort of like rattle.
Mm.
But yeah, you play that, and then also the sputter would pick up the sphere. So it was sort of cool because they're all connected to just through like vibration, like mechanically.
So Sarah Bell Reed, Ryan Gaston, how proud are you? I mean, just this is, your mentors are here. Thanks you guys for inspiring this kind of stuff. Not that you couldn't have come up with it yourself, but I'm just saying a lot of this stuff and this mentality is just straight out of Sarah Bell Reed's mind.
Yeah, it's
brilliant.
She sort of enabled me to,
yeah.
Because I mean, I could do all this stuff, but I just, I was like, well, why would I do that? But
right.
now I'm just like, forget about it. I'll just do it.
Exactly. Why wouldn't you do it? Yeah. I mean, seeing her set on the Modular World anniversary show, using that box with like the comb and the stuff, oh, she was just like going off on that thing. Beautiful. What a creative mind. Tell us a little bit about this company that you started, because I saw a prototype knob months ago, which you made for Sign Mountain.
Yeah. So it's sort of a side project. Like my day job is I'm a mechanical engineer. I design stuff, but I do metal 3D printing. And Sign Mountain, David, he went and he sent me a message like, hey, you're into 3D printing, right? I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, I broke a knob on some module. And, would it be possible for me to make him like a 3D print a knob with like some custom symbols on it? He wanted like a Mayan symbol for a mountain on these knobs. And I was like, well, I can see, do you have a logo? So he went and he sent me a logo. And then I went and I talked to my buddy in the marketing department. I was like, hey, what do you think of this idea? So he's like, and my buddy,
how about we get fired from our jobs? How about we do that?
Yeah, pretty much. So we checked with I checked with the marketing guy, and then we checked with the sales guy. And like, yeah, that'd be sort of a cool idea, just to try it out. So we printed some of these knobs for Sign Mountain, and they turned out great. And we sent them there. So basically, we started up this little side project website called Zeta Transys Custom Instruments. And we've been wanting to do this since before the pandemic, but then everything closed down and we never had an opportunity. So now we have this website. And basically, if you're interested, if you have any ideas or whatever, send us a message on the contact on the website there. And we're still figuring out the business model because, we're printing stuff out of like metal, like titanium. So we're thinking out what the price structure should be and all that stuff. But so that's
cool.
something on the side we're doing. A little bit nerdy, but it's cool.
Well, nerdy. I mean, look at our audience. Come on, we are the nerdiest. All right, proudly, right? Oh, I love you, man. I'm really glad to have you on. All right.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks so much.
Yeah, we'll be in touch. All right.
Awesome.
My friends, Ice Locus from Canada. All right, off you go.
Take care.
That's great. Okay, so thank you for watching Modular World. My name is John Wells. Thanks for our recent people coming in and joining. I see we have 194 viewers out there and 78 logged into Google for the chat. If you're out here watching and want to join the chat, please join the show. We'd love to see you. Be part. Introduce yourselves. Alpha Stare. All the links to all the artists performing today are below. And I believe on Jared's link tree, there's a link to this project he's talking about. Yeah, all the Bandcamps, all the link trees, all the Instagram handles are all below in the description for all the artists for the whole show. Please follow and support these artists. Amazing stuff. Let's move on. Next up is my friend Thierry Holweck. performing from France. All right. Thierry is a French electronic and multi-instrument musician whose thematic music is based on sound exploration made with his modular system. Recordings are captured performances of tracking the white rabbit down a sonic wormhole that share time between mono and polyrhythmic layers, twisted by Euclidean and random parameters. I did not write that. I wish I could speak like that. Thanks for sending a good bio, man. A conversation is created between tension and release and a mix of simple and gentle melodies. Natural sounds like a wood floor, animals, and any natural element fed into the sampler add depth and humanize the soundscape. In this video, he uses a theremin, an instrument he says he may never master but always enjoys, and says, quote, "What I want to deliver and express in my music, mostly kindness of a cat, very soft fur but may scratch you a bit sometimes," end quote. Classically trained at the University of Montpellier. Nope, I'm going to say that a little better. Classically trained at the University of Montpellier. Is that okay, Thierry? Thierry's collaboration in a number of rock, pop, and electronic projects has produced tours both in Europe and in the USA in support of numerous releases. He was signed in the 90s on a major label with his hardcore punk band Garlic Frog Diet. And his last pop band, Panda Transport, has licensed play in the United States for TV shows including Beverly Hills 90210 and Grey's Anatomy. Come on. All right, here we go. This is Thierry Holweck. Thierry, thank you so much. Unbelievable.
Thank you, and I want to thank everybody who did listen to my stuff and all the really nice comment.
Well, like Etch a Sketch said, you're a magician, and I feel like that's pretty apropos because there's stuff going on here that I think some of us can understand, and some of it that's just like, it's like otherworldly, right? I mean, this is a really, like this is what I meant saying that this show feels like a kind of like a high art sort of show. Like this level of synthesis and open improv is just, I don't know, it's refreshing to see, it's really inspiring. I want to be your roommate and just watch this happen,
Not sure you want to be my roommate. I'm not sure that.
I don't know. That couch is looking pretty good right there.
I should practice more. Theremin is really tough instrument.
So how long have you been playing with a theremin?
The story behind is like, I used to play in a band. I still use. We don't have time to practice. My band, Pena Transport.
Nice.
And once we had a song to make, like, the album is almost done and you're in the studio and say, I will try to do something. I have a couple of hours in front of me. So we did a song, like writing the lyrics with my mate, Cathy Compton, the singer. She's American, by the way. And she wrote a couple of lyrics. We made the song and I used the theremin. I was like, let's try it. Let's have fun. And the song was featuring, as you mentioned that, in Grey's Anatomy. And this song was like, we don't care, was not really well mixed. We put some stuff in it and stuff happened,
Right.
So since then, I love it. And I try to practice, but it's tough. I mean, it's really, it's magical, but don't try to put like a delay on it, because when the note is wrong, you will have repeat again and again.
Then you've really committed to the delay. Yeah.
But this is fun instrument. I advise everybody to find more. Now there's like cheap one, like the open theremin, DIY made, and they works really well. And for less than 100, you can find one. I think.
Oh my goodness! I wouldn't have guessed they were that cheap.
I can give you the link when you want.
All right.
Excellent, I think.
So I've really enjoyed your discography on Bandcamp, and it's one of those like return listen sort of discographies where I'm in a certain place, I'm taking a walk, I'm doing this, and I'm like, yep, I'm gonna play one of Thierry's albums. I've really enjoyed your discography.
Thank you.
It's brilliant. Yeah. And for anybody interested in supporting, again, all the links are down below. But this is, I mean, there's like all of them are really different, really unique, really beautiful. And you have one that you just put out like somewhat recently, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's quite an evolution, because I did start with the Moog Mother 32 and few modules. Now the baby is growing up.
Yeah.
And my knowledge also. So I advise everybody this book, for example. Electronic music from Alan Strange.
Oh, that's the one. That's a different cover, yeah.
Yeah, it's a print version, but I learn a lot, and that's what I like with modular synthesis and also in life. Because the goal in life for me is to learn something every day.
Mm-hmm. That book, which you just held up, I'll give a little plug and a little side note. That book is ridiculously expensive and hard to find. However, However,
You
Heidi,
know,
so Heidi Chan, Bachelard, or I'm speaking with a French person, I should say that right, Bachelard, is in Toronto, and she's working with the foundation to reprint that book.
that it will be awesome because
Yeah, and that's going to be
yeah,
like, like a spiral bound, affordable reprint of that book. So for people who don't know, this is electronic sounds and what's it called? Electronic sounds and
uh,
electronic.
electronic music, simple.
But there's a subtitle also: electronic
Uh,
music,
yeah,
sounds and something.
system, techniques, and controls.
Systems, techniques, and thank you. And it's by Alan Strange.
Yep.
And Heidi Chan is working on that project, and it's going to be out soon.
Wow, yeah.
And yeah, that's a pretty dense book. It's sort of it's kind of a textbook in some ways, but it's also a really interesting read.
Mm.
And there's like real like working examples of patches and stuff. That's a real book.
Yeah, and also notes. I mean, there is
Yeah.
notes. It means the function of the notes, how to produce the notes. I mean, it talks about music a lot, too, I think. So it's really interesting. And yeah, that's, we need to learn. I mean,
Yeah.
and my thing is, I like my minimal stuff, small stuff, small sound. And when I buy a module, I want to know everything. I want to
Yeah.
take everything from it.
Yeah. Me too.
This is my thing. So
I
this is what
I just feel like hearing your music, I feel like you have done that because you can take it to so many different places so easily and quickly. And I've really felt that like listening to your stuff, that it's very easily like it just seems like it's easy for you to meld it and move it.
it takes time.
It's really
It's
like
not
open.
easy. I mean, it's just like if you take the mutable instruments ring, people would ding dong. But there is so much thing you can do with it. If you enter in the parameter, if you put noise in it, because it's a resonator.
Using it as a resonator, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly, and change. I use sometime, I put the Moog, the sound of the Moog inside the ring.
Mm-hmm.
You can take one module and do a lot of things with it.
Yeah.
Take the time, if you have the time to do it and think about it.
What projects are you working on right now? What's next? The unanswerable huge question.
I was quite busy, not in a good way this time, but I'm still busy. But what I'm trying to do is doing exactly what I've done recently with this video. I enjoy to go out. I've done that in my apartment, go out with my Zoom and record. I put some notes in air mode. I go somewhere, play, record on the Zoom, and I shot it. Mm-hmm. And it's mostly I've done like, a couple of shots like that. I don't know where it's going, but I like to do it. So it's all about like what I want to do. I mean, in the present time.
Yeah.
What make me feel good. That's the only. I don't have any plans about career. Things like that. Just like I try to do music, learn, do stuff like right now, chatting with you guys and show my work. And we'll see. And certainly I will work on an album with this live and this minimal stuff, rhythm, which I really like.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I will keep going in this direction and maybe do an album with this kind of music. And and learn and propose something like more interesting. And when you use like the morphagene from Make Noise, the possibility there are like you can record. I record a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm a teacher, so one of my students gave me a gift.
Mm-hmm.
See that? So it's in Morphagene, and it's great.
Yeah, that inside of
Fun.
Morphagene sounds good. Yeah.
And she put a note, which means in English, I'm the best.
I want to give you a personal invitation, and I'm also going to leak a little something here. The next Patch On show,
Yeah.
is Patch On for techno. That's the next Spotlight, Patch On show. But the one after that, I'm leaking it right now, my friends. The theme is going to be field recordings.
Okay.
And I'd love to have you on that show. So it's a 5 to 7 minute piece, not a big commitment. 5 to 7 minutes.
Mhm.
The theme is field recordings. And I think that you would do something really special on that show. I've got to have you on it.
Put pressure on me. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember like
Yeah.
last time we have chats, you mentioned the fact that you like that there is more than modular instruments.
Yeah.
And I mentioned the theremin. And I was like, after the chat, I was like, man, what I've done.
What did I say?
Yeah, because when it's happened, I say something, I do always. I mean, don't ask me to come in, visit you and play a show in your hometown, because if I say yes, I will have to do it.
No, I would love that. Yeah, that would be really special.
I didn't say that, actually. But yeah.
Please watch for that, because I'm
I
gonna
will.
drop it on social in a couple weeks, and then I'll be taking submissions for that. I've got to have you on that show. 5 to 7 minutes, field recordings.
Yeah.
And
So-
however you want to manipulate that and tweak that and run that.
Yeah.
All right, my
Cool.
friend. It's great seeing you, and I look forward to speaking more in the future.
Thank you.
You're a good man.
So,
All right, my friends, Thierry Holweck.
thank you.
All right, so I knew that would be so special, and man, just really happy to have you on. Great. We're gonna move on. My producer just told me I've got to stay on schedule. That's a joke. I don't have a producer. Okay. Dub Station Zero from the United States. Here we go. Nick Shinton, aka Dub Station Zero, is a modular synthesizer dub artist. Dub Station Zero is a unique blend of electronic and reggae music that begs the mind and body to wander into uncharted sonic realms. Again, I wish I could write like this. Originally hailing from the DC metro area, Nick began live dub projects with multi-instrumentalist Justin Machete Cooney that featured several DC reggae musicians, including members of Soja. His dub rig was centered around a 12-channel mixer with 4 multi-effects chains for dubbing a live band. Upon relocation to the West Coast, Nick began producing his own original music. He began to explore analog synthesizers and had a vision of an instrument that he could not only compose but dub live on. With that vision, Nick began the creation of the dub station. Eurorack quickly became the medium of choice for many reasons, but foremost was the ability to customize your instrument to fit your musical goals. When I started Modular on the Spot in San Diego here, Nick played and got to meet him and know him. This was almost 3 years ago. And this guy is a master synthesist, like serious stuff. And there's nobody doing dub modular reggae like this. All right, here we go. My friend Nick Shinton as Dub Station Zero. My friends, Dub Station Zero, this is Nick Shinton joining me from 1 hour north of San Diego.
Yep.
You know,
Hi.
it's fun because, you know, you and I hang out. I come up there and patch. You come down here. You've been a huge, huge influence and mentor of mine. And it's so cool seeing people who maybe just follow you on Instagram, you know, seeing you do long form. Like, this is just so cool seeing all the faces melt.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for letting me get on here, man.
Come
It's
on, man.
you know, I don't know. It's I'm speechless. You talk.
Okay. Well, look, I mean, you and I have talked about this perma patch, which you have going on right now. And I mean, we'll call it a semi perma patch because I've seen you through a few iterations of the perma patch.
Yeah.
But I've been up there watching you do this, and I mean, you can go for hours, literally hours, and just changing, morphing, working, going. It can go from like just every genre you can pack into this patch. And just tell us about the circle of influence thing which you've built in the middle there.
Okay.
I love this.
You know, I for me, I guess there's different relationships between modules that, you know, they just I find that kind of relationship and that workflow just sticks with me. And there's certain things that you know, have a goal to achieve to kind of give it that reggae vibe, but then you know, so I kind of end up with a little bit of a performance patch that like to get to that one spot, you know, I have a certain way of kind of workflow. And then so kind of establishing that, then I went through, okay, what can I do to, once I've been able to achieve that, what can I do to get other places? And so, you know, basically I run a couple master sequences, and a lot of random interjected into it, and try to use those. When I say master sequence, you know, I try not to sequence everything. I try to let random stepped looped voltage or just the melodic CV that I'm doing influence everything else. So I try to be able to, I don't know, keep it loose and let different, you know, design the patch so that once it, I don't know, when it can get, I don't know, I'm lost.
Well, I mean, you and I both don't use a big Battleship master sequencer.
Yeah, right. So I got Bloom going with 2 channels. That's like basically the melodic, a lot of the melodic parts. And then I just have different voices interpreting those 2 main sequences, whether it's building harmonics or building, you know, melodies and counter melodies and bass lines. And then I have another sequence that I go with coming out of the Wrangler. So that's like looped 16 or 8 steps. And I use that one to kind of do my master modulation. And I try to kind of attenuate things and, you know, just kind of patch things so that no matter what they get in that kind of random value, that they'll come out with something different and cool. And because it's in stepped voltage, you know, you can kind of get grooves out of it. And so applying that groove to other places and just letting it kind of, so in essence, you know, you're just kind of steering the ship with 3 main sequences. Everything else is kind of semi-generative, working off of those 3 main sequences. And that's, I don't know, I like exploring like that.
See, everybody, it's just real simple. See? See?
Well, I mean, when you're, I don't know.
Well, I mean, people hear me wax poetic about the Benjamin. Talk to me about how important the Benjamin is in your setup.
Well, that's what's doing that kind of stepped random modulation, and so I've got
the tempo changes.
Yeah. Well, and the tempo changes too. So I've got it. Well, so the Benjamin's got a bunch of different parts to it. The Wrangler gives you that stepped random, which I was talking about earlier, kind of like a Turing machine, where you can allow probability in to change single steps. But it also has, you know, 2 oscillators that don't track volt per octave, but if you put them, well, they can work effectively as LFOs as well. And then they can take cross modulation So I used the square wave or the pulse output of one of those to be my master clock. And the Benjalin's got a bunch, like you can cross modulate it with oscillator A, which is another, crazy oscillator that doesn't track
Yeah.
volt per octave. And then you can also modulate it with that same stepped random voltage that's going into it. So it's back into that sphere. It's the sphere of influence feeding itself, and letting the clock then, and then having everything running off that kind of master clock and all that. Like Pam, that drives Pam, and then Pam does all the other divisions. And then what's cool also is Pam likes to reset itself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of, that having a reset coming out of there too allows you to really like jitter around and then land back on a one. Which I think is kind of important for how I like just kind of find and fall into grooves, but yeah, that's the Benjamin is a lot of fun analog circuitry in there,
Analog chaotic circuitry. Amen.
Yeah.
When are you going to give us a full release? Come on. Give us a proper album, Nicholas.
Soon. I got some material that I've been holding back, but some of the material that I'd like to release is also out there here and there. YouTube and Instagram and stuff. And I'd love to release this track too as well. And
great.
I don't know. Soon,
your YouTube channel is something that everybody should follow here because there's good long form stuff there, and also we should probably mention Blast Radio.
Yeah.
I'm sure some of you have seen this like ripple through our community with people who are streaming on Blast Radio, myself included. But man, you're perfect for Blast because you can just like go and go and go.
Yeah, I've done a couple streams on there already. A couple where I've just kind of like let it rip and go completely off the cuff. Because one of the things during the pandemic I really wanted to focus on is the ability to perform live, and be able to go on the spot and be able to kind of compose and do stuff that's because I kind of have this performance patch that I my workflow that I really like. Which it changes and voices kind of change, but the overall timing and kind of sequencing aspects of it, I really like the workflow I have.
Mm-hmm.
But I really liked focusing on being able to just show up and play. And once the pandemic's over, I really hope to take every opportunity I can get including Blast Radio, just to kind of play and improvise and just kind of go.
It'll be good, man. It'll be good.
I hope. Get your vaccine.
Take that perma patch on the road, man.
I would love to.
Yeah.
Everybody get healthy.
My God. Well, thanks so much for being. It's crazy that 19 shows I haven't had you on. I had you on the anniversary. That was nice, but yeah, it's crazy that this is your first time on the proper show.
Well, I appreciate you having me, John. And I appreciate your friendship. You're an awesome dude, and me and my family are so happy to have you in our lives, man.
I feel same, man. You and your wife and your little one. I know Amy's watching. All right, we'll talk soon, man. And thanks so much for melting faces. I knew you would.
Thanks. You leave one comment.
Talk soon, man.
All right, man.
Bye. Dub Station Zero. See, there you go. Solid situation going on there. Please make sure you're following Nick on Instagram and YouTube. Oh my God. All right. Little news flash of what's coming up. Next up, we have Leon Trimble from the UK, who performs as Chromatouch, followed by Tony Ober performing as Tsone from the US, and ending up again melting the faces with our sister Jess Chambers performing as Dream Chambers. Okay, let's move on. Let's do it. This is such a great bio, and I was like, I can't read all this, but I'm going to because it's so interesting. Leon Trimble from the UK performs as Chromatouch. Leon started as a VJ some 20 years ago, having VJ'd for everyone from Lydia Lunch to Jethro Tull, DJ Sasha to Steel Eye Span. He started adding acoustic clips into the MIDI patterns he was using to control Ableton Live. The loopy stuff eventually got added and then replaced by synths, starting with a few Volkas and Blofeld and bits of semi-modular like the Moog Werkstatt. His art practice includes working with 360 visuals and got into dome events. We'll talk about that with him. Amazing. Dome events working with the Birmingham Science Museum. The love of science led to meeting some astrophysicists at this studio, Birmingham Open Media, where Hannah Middleton from University of Birmingham told him that black holes make chirp sounds when they collide, and thus the gravity synth was born. Leon's modular journey began there, needing to translate laser detection methods from a laser interferometer. He looked to CV to translate the buzzing noises from the laser optic into something musical, and decided rings was a great idea to resonate noise and give it a usable pitch. In turn, the Coma Field Kit translated gates into 12-volt pulses, stay with me, to vibrate motors and solenoids to give the interferometer vibrations that would register through the laser. Come on, this is simple. I totally get that. All right? Simple stuff. Having shared a row of eurorack, it grew from there, mainly synthesis and sequencers, always having loved the Monome Grid and Ansible. Norns was integrated. Again, simple stuff. 2 6U cases, a palette, a pod, and a nice skiff full of LZX video modules. To keep the visuals moving, he's got a load of stuff to play with. Improv gigs, techno treehouse sets, pop-ups in brutalist hotspots, live coding in river tunnels. This guy's amazing. Here we go. Chromatouch. Chromatouch. Oh, yeah. Dude, thanks for staying up a little bit later. I know it's it's got to be getting on like 10 or 11 there, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, 11 now.
Thanks for staying up. I know you've been working festivals and having some kind of later nights, I bet.
Yeah, I came straight from the hills. We were doing some visuals in the dome in the hills. Me and Putty Robber, who's in the chat. Hey.
So you and I had a great chat a little while ago, and you were telling me about all the events you work and some of the dome events, like and you've got your own dome which you bring and set up and project lights on, and it's just sounded amazing. You were showing me photos.
Yeah, so like a 360 projection dome that I've been developing over the last kind of 5 years, and I've been doing kind of stuff with the planetarium before that. So it's like a living, breathing engine. The whole thing reacts to whatever the DJ or the person performing is doing. So, everything speaks to everything else. There's quad sound in there, and there's, I build systems, so modular is brilliant for that. It helps me just expand these systems into electrical signals and sound as well that can do all sorts of cool stuff.
So you sent me that bio, which I was like, I can't read all this, but then I just wanted to.
Well,
so
thank you.
would you give me kind of the better version of that? Like, give us a version we can actually understand about the laser and what you built and how it works, this gravity synth.
So this is good because I get to talk about gravitational waves now, which is how I started with these astrophysicists, and
okay, now
we just became friends. We started hanging out at the lab in the University of Birmingham after this astrophysicist told me that black holes make chirp sounds. And I took some, we bought some modular equipment with some funding they had, and I would lend them the modular equipment. They love playing with modular stuff down there because they're just playing with electrical signals all the time anyway. And so basically, when black holes collide, they send out massive gravitational waves across the universe. Big things like black holes and neutron stars sort of spin around and crash into each other and send out these kind of ripples. And so they have a laser beam they split into two that gets recombined by two mirrors. One of the mirrors lines it up so they meet up perfectly. And the other one senses vibrations. So when there's no vibrations, they cancel each other out and there's no signal. But when there's a vibration on the other mirror, so the things they build to detect actual gravitational waves are massive institutions like CERN. They're called LIGO. There's two in the States, one in Italy. They're building one in space. It's crazy stuff. So I've got a little desktop version of this laser beam splitter. And I used a field kit to send the gate pulse from the kick or whatever, the kick pattern, just to pulse the vibration mirror, the detection mirror. And it gives me a buzzing kind of sound when the laser hits the optic. And it's quite accurate. It's it's quite percussive. And when I first wanted to do it, I was going to send the modular kind of signals into the physical equipment. To kind of, I was going to use the physical equipment to modulate the modular, but it was making sound. So this is the sound source. It's like an oscillator. It's really cool. And so I put it through something that I can send pitch to as well. So rings is one thing. I've been experimenting with other things since. And it's just physics in action. And it's great to describe this stuff, with kids or audiences, because it really demonstrates the kind of what they're doing. A lot of artists use data sets from physics, and it could be a set of random numbers. If you put it through the right effects and stuff, it'll sound nice, But this, you really have to it's a physical instrument, and it's demonstrating it properly. It's nice.
That's so amazing. Thank you. I feel like I mostly understood that. I mean, that was you've gotten.
I've had to,
I'm sure
do this kind of stuff with the public quite a lot now, and so I've learned from the astrophysicists as much as they've learned from me. It's been a real kind of labor of love.
That's so neat. Tell us about the visuals you created for this performance.
So yeah, there's just a little bit of I've got a little one row of LZX stuff, a video and a visual cortex, if anybody knows what those are. And you can kind of send TV in to modulate, the sort of patterns. There's a bit of animation from modulate, because there's a digital in as well, which is kind of cool. And this set was what I was getting ready to play in a treehouse. So it isn't my full modular setup. I kept it fairly neat. And somebody noticed there's the Roland groove boxes in there. Just nice to have a box. I've been building stuff on my circuit for a few years, and I wasn't so happy with the circuit sounds. If I've got the modular doing the crazy sounds, I wanted the slightly sweeter sounds just for the backup, for this sort of more accessible techno set. So I've got the groove box, put all the MIDI files in there, and then I can drive some of the modular stuff. And so it's just kind of, another system. It all feeds each other. There's stuff coming through back into the groove box. There's a Norns on there doing some less concepts stuff by Dan Dirks, really nice kind of cellular automata sequencer that's kind of bringing some slightly pseudo-random patterns in and doing a feedback, send and return through the groove box as well. So it's a good mixer. There's no mixer needed as well with that. So it's ticking a few boxes. But the modular's got 3 voices in, and we can send voices or modulation to the visuals. So there's loads of fun to be had.
God. Just like another guy I'd love to have as a roommate, Just like constantly pick your brain. Hey, Leon, I'm wondering what I could do here.
Yeah, I've always got another idea and something to play with.
I can tell. Are you releasing something soon that we could sink our teeth into?
There's an album. There's the chromatouch.bandcamp.com. There is a release from earlier this year.
From earlier this year. Okay.
I haven't done a modular album yet, though. There are bits of modular in there. This is kind of a lot of collage stuff, and I've been waiting. I've got a reel-to-reel machine that I want to kind of fix up, because I don't want to record into the laptop from the modular. I want something, a little bit more analog to record it. It feels wrong in a way, to be recording I'd like to do some stuff to tape, I think, to do a proper modular album.
That sounds great. Yeah. Well, it doesn't have to be all modular. I mean, anything's great.
No, but I do want to do a modular release, a proper modular, full-on modular release. So
interesting.
I'm just waiting for the right medium to come along to be able to record it to.
I think recording to open reel sounds great.
Yeah. Someone gave me an old Akai yesterday, actually. I've got to work out if it's going to blow up if I turn it on yet.
I think about what you're doing with all the stuff, which Heinbach's doing with all of his testing, like test equipment.
Well, he's the king,
Sounds like you guys can have a really good conversation.
Yeah, I'm sure, I've met him once, actually. What's the modular festival in Berlin called?
The one that's coming up, Super Booth, right?
Yeah, I played the Super Booth after party, and I met him, and he's such a cool guy. He just had his little girl in his arms asleep. He was like, it's been a busy day. It's like, okay. Super nice. He's going into Stockhausen territory and really going back to some of the really, really good stuff.
Yeah. Man, you and I had such a good talk about 90s music, and it sounds like we came up on a lot of the same kind of stuff. That's great. And it's a good example, my friends, of, anybody who you are interested in and want to talk to, just reach out. I do it all the time, with this show, but it's just so doable. People are there and willing to talk and become friends. And I got to say, man, it's just a pleasure to know you. Yeah.
It's been really nice chatting, and it's nice that you take the time, you don't just go, oh, you can do the show and whatever. It's like, I love the way you sort of, let's have a Zoom first and we'll talk for an hour.
Yeah.
Or was it an hour
more.
and a half? And we were just,
Yeah.
you know, chewing the fat. It was great.
Yeah. Some of my Zoom meetings are like 2 and 3 hours, and it's just
so nice.
Yeah, it's great. It's really necessary, and I love it. Yeah. All right, my friend, I'm going to move on, and thank you so much for being here. I couldn't wait to share your stuff with the world.
That's brilliant. Thank you.
All right, man. My friends, Chromatouch. Thanks for coming, man. Awesome. Okay. We're just going to keep it moving. Again, a face melter. So our next performer, Tony Ober, performs as Tsone. And I got my face officially melted when I saw him play at the Phoenix Synthesizer Festival a couple months ago. If you want to really see a good one, that's on YouTube, and that performance is just unbelievable, and that's what got us talking. Here we go. Tony Ober is a musician, sound designer, composer, visual artist, and educator. Tony works to combine music, art, technology, and performance, focusing on innovative uses of sound and the development of interactive systems for electronic music performance, contemporary dance performance, and art installations. Just makes me feel like a total slouch, right? Under the stage name Tsone, he uses modular synthesizers and custom software to create complex, generative, rhythmic patterns, warm, gauzy, electronic detritus, and blasts of impenetrable walls of sound. Oh yes, he does. His work has been released on a number of international recording labels, frankly, too many to name. An avid enthusiast of modular synthesizers, since 2017, he's been the primary coordinator of the world-renowned annual Phoenix Synthesizer Festival, which I mentioned. In 2020, his monthly live online modular synthesizer workshops attracted a sizable regular following, and they are quite amazing to watch. As an educator, he enjoys empowering students by demystifying seemingly complex music technology. And I gotta say, man, that when I feel like our community is like filled with like elite wizardry, and then I see somebody join the community who's like, wow, you all are really open and humble and sharing and generous with all your stuff. That's the truth, and that's the magic here. Yeah, my friends, this is Tsone. My friends, this is Tony Ober performing as Tsone. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me, man. Really appreciate it.
I mean, every time I don't know what to ask or say. This is like so high level. That's the best way I can say it. Walk us through a little bit of the construction of something like this, if you would, please, sir.
I'll do my best. I don't have that particular patch fresh in my mind. A lot of times I'm kind of, doing a handful of things at any given time. So I'll have, a patch that I'll use for one performance, then I'll like unpatch it and, and like the next day do a different performance, just kind of depending on the context. From what I remember for that one, like a lot of the heavy lifting was done in the Octatrack, and I was using the modular mostly as like an effects chain, like an effects rack, more than anything else. Like there were a few voices in the bitbox, in the nebula, and in the braids.
I love braids.
Yeah, that was one of my first modules. It's still going strong.
Yeah. Me too.
But for the most part, a lot of the modular stuff was just processing, like there were effects in the modular. And I do this trick where I kind of explained it a little bit, I think in the Phoenix Synthfest rig rundown, but I'll explain it again. Basically, I have a bunch of effects. So I'll have maybe like 8 different effects, but you only hear one effect at any given time, because they're all run through a switch. That's just switching which effect you're hearing at that time.
Like the Crucible?
The switch that I'm using is from Erica Synths, the Erica Synth switch. And so so they're like, and the effects are some effects chains. Sorry, I'm looking at over my modular to like try to remember this. Some effects chains that I built in the ER301, the Echophone, and maybe a few other things. So probably like 5 or 6 effects that were being run, and everything was basically like run through that. Or I had that as one sort of effects loop on my mixer. So that's what was happening in the modular. The Octatrack was in there. I was using Drambo on my iPad, which is like...
That's what they were talking about. Okay.
Yeah, Drambo is like, it blows my mind what you can do with that thing. It's like a modular synth and an Octatrack kind of in one, like principles of modular synthesis and principles of, constructing music on an Octatrack kind of in one.
That sounds pretty dense.
Yeah. There's a bit of a learning curve there, but it's huge. I mean, for like an iOS app, like it's so cool.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And then I also had the Nord micromodular in there, along with, so I like, modulars that live in boxes also, right?
Yeah,
like
right.
The Nord micromodular, the Drambo is very much a modular environment. I also had Maximus P off screen, that was actually sending clocks to everything.
Oh my God.
So that was like all this sort of like wonky clock stuff, like that was coming from Max.
There's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. Yeah, I mean, more than just this particular patch, I'm interested in your like approach and workflow. Like the approach to construction. Is it like this is what this tool can do the best? It's like core competency, like per tool, right? Like even just the ER301 and processing that and calling that a quote effect. That's a serious rabbit hole right there.
Yeah. I don't know. I think a lot of times it's this sort of like additive process where I'll start with just the kind of kernel of an idea that I feel like any particular machine can kind of like spark that initial motivation or inspiration, and I'll just start with that, and then just kind of like I'll think, well, maybe this machine could do something else to interact with that, the idea on that first machine, and I just kind of like build from there, just keep building. Yeah.
Like, how much would you say something like this is built on the fly, and how much of it is really set up and you know what's going to happen?
I'd say it's a good like 70% is set up, and I know what's going to happen, and then that 30% is just kind of like what I'm feeling in the moment. So this particular set was a distillation of a longer set that I had done like the day before. And so a lot of the structure, the framework was there, but I was still like, there's flexibility within that framework that allows me to kind of, bring things in at different times if I want to, or just sometimes just completely forget about whole parts of the patch and not even use it. Yeah.
So this was a distillation of a previous. So how long was that previous patch?
That set was maybe like 45 minutes.
I see.
Yeah.
Would you rather play it in like those sort of time constraints, or is 15 good, or is it challenging?
I'm good either way. I think it's, like whenever I play out, it seems like the standard set time is like 20 to 30 minutes.
Right. Right.
So I'm pretty comfortable like building things within that time frame. If I have to go beyond that, I'm comfortable doing that also. I mentioned
40 is amazing.
Yeah, but sometimes I'll do like sound baths, which is just like a totally other, animal compared to what we just saw. And in that, it's just like super stretched out. I'll sometimes play for like 2 hours.
Wow.
And again, just kind of depends on the context. Depends on what I'm doing for that night.
As an educator, what's the favorite thing which you like teaching in this?
I really enjoy teaching sound design. I think that's my favorite thing. Just the subject, but also just like probably my absolute favorite thing is getting to approach these things like from the mind of a beginner, like putting myself back into that place where I was like 20 years ago,
right?
And in a way that kind of like forces me to think of these things in different ways, or not assume so much, I guess. Like there are things that I think once you've been doing this for years, you assume certain things, but when you maybe revisit some of those concepts, it's like, oh, that's a different way of thinking about it, or maybe I didn't fully understand that concept. So I guess what I'm saying is as an educator, like I really enjoy the process of continuing to learn in order to like teach my students. That's a really cool thing.
Yeah. I talked about when I had my podcast a couple years ago, I talked with Sarah Bell Reed about this, and also with Todd Barton about how we're resetting our ears to, like, after doing this for a while, or listening to music as deeply as most of us have for our lives, like we get this kind of, it's not a bad cynical, but it's a cynical ear of like, I've kind of heard it all, Yeah. And like, of course we haven't, right?
Yeah.
And it sounds like what you're talking about with your students is like a refresh on that concept, because you get to see it through new eyes of people who have not heard it all and done it all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely, definitely, that's the case.
Yeah, what a gift.
Yeah.
Like, could we reset ourselves to be these like innocent, like a childlike kind of innocence of being able to stumble into the dark and, experience these things for the first time. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also just kind of refreshing, like from a creative standpoint, to be able to be back in that mindset and, think about the tools that you're using in this beginner's way. Yeah.
You played last night?
I had, it was a
how was that show?
Thing, but it was good. It was for this thing in Phoenix called Record Bar Radio.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. That was actually, you know, we recorded that back in, gosh, I think it was the end of July. And that was the first time that I had actually gone out of the house with my gear in like over a year and a half. You know, like I've done live streams, I've set things up in my studio here at home, but yeah, being able to actually like schlep my gear to an actual location like that felt really good.
Did it physically feel good though?
It kind of did.
Oh,
like,
good for you.
Like even though, you know, like I'm carrying all this gear, like, yeah, it was like, it felt good to just get back to that.
That's great. I feel like I need it in my spirit, but I don't need it like physically, you know, like I've kind of gotten, you know, like it feels good to sit on my ass here and make music and do streams.
Yeah, no, I feel you, man. Like there were, I think
I'm too old.
2019, like at the beginning of that year, I was playing a gig almost every week.
Oh God.
And it was like full on, like I'm bringing all my modular gear, you know, like, yeah, that was.
But see, you have a big table full of goodies. Like I'm just showing up with like one rack. Like this is why I stopped being in bands. Like schlepping out amps and guitars and shit. I was just like, man, I'm too fucking old. And that was 25 years ago. I felt like that.
It's just, I've got it down to a science, you know, like I've been doing that. I've done that so many times. Like it's just, it's easy to like pack things up, plug things in, you know? Yeah.
Well, I see Travarsi do it here, and she'll show up with like just so much stuff, and she's killing it. You know, she just does it really quickly.
Yep.
And it just works. You know, it's awesome to see happen. You know.
Yeah, she's a pro. You know, I mean that's
maybe that's the thing, is that I am not a pro.
I didn't mean to imply that.
No, it's fine. I'm secure.
Okay.
That's the difference. I just figured it out. I am not a pro.
Oh gosh.
Oh God, it's so true though. I mean, maybe that's it. It's you know, like Alpha Stare saying we need modular roadies. That is exactly it.
I mean, we do in a way.
Totally.
Like, yeah.
Just set it up, please. Just let me show up. No, I don't know.
I don't know that I trust people to do that actually.
No, hell no. Sorry, I might have knocked one of your knobs, bro.
Right.
Then I'm through it. I'm like, God, this is completely out of tune now.
Yeah.
Says the guy who's never tuned an oscillator. Okay.
Right.
Hey, just on a side note, thanks so much for what you produced in Phoenix. That was such a great show. God.
Oh, thank you.
That was a brilliant show.
Yeah, I'm so happy that it turned out the way that it did.
Yeah.
That was the
really
first
nice.
time we had done a synth festival online. You know, I mean, the pandemic just kind of forced our hand in that respect. But I think some really good things came out of it.
Absolutely.
And we're gonna, you know, even when we do this in person next year, we're gonna have some online component to it. So yeah, I mean, thanks for being a part of it also.
Oh, it was an honor and, you know, a lot of fun. And I just saw that that Anna in Amsterdam, Modular Moon, she framed that beautiful poster which you sent us.
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, that's so cool.
Classy. Okay.
Yeah.
Another side note. So Tony designed the artwork and this gorgeous poster for the, you know, for the event. And then you sent us all these beautiful prints of it. And I got it and I was like, God, I got to frame this. And it's nicely preserved in the beautiful poster roll, which you sent me, behind me in my closet. And I'm like, I got to frame that fucking thing. And she framed it and took a picture of it and posted it on social. I was like, man.
Oh, I gotta go check that out. I didn't
know
that she did that. That's so cool.
She posted it just like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, it was a nice kick in the ass to go get it framed.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I'd love to have that on my wall. Anyway, thank you for mailing those out. That was classy.
Yeah. You're welcome.
That was classy. All right, my friend, we'll stay in touch, and just thank you so much for sharing your artistry with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Very awesome.
Thank you for doing this and doing what you do. Like, I really appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
Like everything that you do, giving everyone, you know, the platform they deserve. So
yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, I love the show. Big time. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, man.
All right, thanks a lot, man.
All right, we'll talk. Off you go. My friends, Tsone. Yeah. Thanks, man. Great stuff. Okay. Well, thank you for sticking around. And the next artist is just, I'm just such a shameless fan of. And we're going to wrap up our show in a very classy and awesome high art kind of way, my friends. This is Jess Chambers, performs as Dream Chambers. All right, here we go. Dream Chambers is the name for APRA award-winning singer-songwriter Jess Chambers' ethereal electronic music. She's known in New Zealand, where she's from, for her delicately orchestrated folk albums and her work with the Woolshed Sessions, Rian Sheehan, and the Upbeats. Jess relocated to Nashville, Tennessee in 2012, where she encountered a vibrant underground electronic music scene and began a transformative journey into the world of music technology. Since then, she has performed as Dream Chambers extensively in the U.S., co-founded an electronic music collective for femme and non-binary creatives, yay, and released 3 albums ranging from experimental electronic pop through to drone and vocal soundscapes. Her sound, created using a mass of modular synthesizers, sequencers, and vocal processors, counterpoints, heavy sub-bass with crystalline, granular vocal samples and shimmering arpeggios. Every time I've seen her perform, she makes me cry. If you recall her performance on the anniversary show, I mean, granted, I was pretty fried, but we came out of her performance and I was in tears and I was just like, and moving on, I'm wrecked, can't talk, and perform, and just announce the next performer. Worthless. Yeah, I'm just so excited to share this with you. This is Dream Chambers. Jess, thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
I don't know why I do this to myself. Like, it would be so much easier to not have you on the show. Like, do I want to make a mess of myself in front of people?
I don't know. I can't see your face. So.
It's like I'm a glutton for punishment or something.
Yeah.
No, I really collected myself and tried to come back straight. So I'm gonna do my best here. Okay.
You sound good. You sound collected. Yeah.
Oh, God, you have no idea. It's just a facade. So, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for all your positive feedback. It makes me feel good.
Well,
And the chat, I've been watching the chat, and that's been making me feel nice too.
good.
Yeah.
So you are in the future right now. You are in New Zealand, which is tomorrow for us.
Yeah, it is 11 a.m. on Monday.
Unbelievable. So you're in like you were telling me it's like a remote location. That sounds very secretive and awesome.
Oh, it's just really like in the middle of nowhere. But it's really beautiful. It's next to a massive forest that has just never been affected by humans.
Wow.
So there's like millennia of flora
Oh, God.
and fauna around
So are you
there.
making music up there?
I'm a little bit. I'm off grid at the moment. So there's limited electricity where I'm staying. It's solar powered, so I have to run a generator to play music. So it is limited.
Oh, I'm so impressed.
Yeah. Well,
So when are you coming
I'm
back?
addicted to electricity, so it's a bit tricky.
When are you coming back to Tennessee?
I'm not sure actually. I am torn because it seems to be like a good place to be here right now, but my life is still in the US, so I just really don't know. Probably early next year.
Okay, so you are coming back to us.
Yes, for sure.
Thank God.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I'm sure it's not wonderful there. I'd love to see that. A millennia of flora. I mean,
It's just incredibly beautiful. It's actually mind-blowing. So, yeah, it's hard to say goodbye to the ocean and the forest, but also, yeah, I do miss the US. I've been here since March, so.
do you
It's been
take
a long
pictures
trip.
up there?
Oh yeah, I've got heaps of photos
Oh,
and
good.
videos.
Good, good. Oh, that's great.
That's basically all my stories. My Instagram stories right now are just
Yeah.
the forest and the beach.
So you've done a lot of singing previously, and do you feel like you've kind of, is this your new place? Like, have you kind of, quote, found your voice? Although that's a great pun since we're talking about voice.
I think it's just changed for me. Um, I kind of have not complicated, but I feel conflicted about songs. I love writing songs, and I wrote songs for a really long time, and I was a singer-songwriter. But then I started feeling really restricted by that, and so when I found modular and especially the morphogene, it started helping me break out of those classic song structures. But I do feel like they're really effective and dramatic, and as soon as I start singing, I feel like I make a connection with people. So I'm finding my voice again in a way that's outside of the traditional song structure that I've worked within for like 20 years. Yeah. Anyway, I might go back. I might write a song with Eurorack. We'll see.
You know, I've talked to a lot of people about their traditional upbringing, and I was classically trained on piano also. And I think that for a lot of people, it's hard to break some of those rules of like, when's the verse, when's the chorus, when's the bridge?
Yeah.
Are people getting bored? Should I do this part again? I've done pretty hard work to let that go. Where is that in your process?
I've been doing a mix of it actually. I have the pieces like the one I played today was just it's very fractured. And I wrote, it's probably, in terms of a song, it's probably like a bridge and a chorus of a song that I just stretch out over the whole piece. But I do have other songs that I pick up a microphone and I sing live, and they have like verses and choruses and things. But I put like big space in big sections for synth arpeggios and things to build. Yeah, I go back and forth on it. I used to just always try to be moving forward and leaving the past behind, but now I'm just trying to be more flexible with it and be like, yeah, I like a broad spectrum of so many things.
Yeah.
So I just let myself be flexible and do whatever comes.
Amen. That's a great, like, I want to say it's a great problem to have, but it's just really not a problem, is it?
Yeah, it felt like a problem for a while because I was like, I need to be being more experimental and like stretching myself and pushing myself. And I think as soon as I got into electronics out of the folk scene, there wasn't a lot of singing going on. So I had like a little bit of a complex for a while about singing. I was like, I'm not going to sing.
Oh, I definitely have that problem. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and now I'm like, actually, if I'm feeling good, I like to sing. It is making yourself pretty vulnerable, which can feel intense, but yeah, I just feel like it's a really connective element. Like people immediately tune in when I open my mouth. So
definitely.
Quite yeah, it's really fulfilling part of performing.
I'm sure. And I mean, I'll be the millionth person who would tell you that, yeah, your voice is amazing. And that's probably,
Thank you.
I mean, all of it is that if it wasn't, people wouldn't be drawn in,
Thank you. Yeah, a hard thing with performing live with the voice is it is quite fragile. Like it can, I can't spend a lot of time before I perform in a loud bar, like yelling conversations before I get on stage, or my voice will just be wrecked. So it's kind of this thing you have to babysit a little bit, which is nice to not have to do. So that's what it's fun to just have some samples on the Morphogene. So if I don't want to sing, if my voice is not feeling up to it, I could just do something else. So.
Yeah, right. So Morphogene, I've talked about it with so many people. So that was for sure the module that pulled me in also. And I see that Alpha Stare just wrote that too. Morphogene pulled me in.
Yeah.
I mean, like most definitely. I couldn't believe that it was that good.
I love it.
Yeah.
It was like literally the first module I bought.
Well done.
A year ago last month, I bought the Morphogene, and then
A year ago last month. Can we just pause for a moment here?
I only had that.
A year ago last month. Now, where did I first see you? Was it on the Frequency Shift series? You were part of that.
Yeah, and I hadn't bought it yet, and I pulled it out and I showed Travarsi. I was like, "This is my first module." And,
but what you did on that show blew my mind too. That was when I first contacted you, I think.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, that was a totally different setup, and I had no eurorack in there.
But the vocals on that too. I mean, that was what really. I'm trying to think of that set. I should go back and watch that again.
Okay. Yeah.
God, just 1 year
I have
ago.
like this really cool synth called the Midi, which has mini Moog boards in it that sounded really cool for that show. But it was just something I borrowed, and it's kind of like modular, but it's like its own synth. And yeah, that was Morphogene, definitely gateway drug.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is sorry. This is Tom Erb. I mean, everything that he's touched for Make Noise has been the magical stuff.
Okay. I didn't know about him.
Yeah, so any this is for everybody. Any Make Noise module which says Sound Hack on it, that's Tom Erb.
Oh, cool.
And those are like, this is like history being made with everything he makes. I mean, I'm not saying that dramatically. He's like amazing, and he's a local guy here who I've gotten to know, and he's just a real gentleman. He comes to modular on the spot and sits in the grass. Nobody knows who he is. He's great.
Cool. Yeah. So what other ones has he made?
So Telharmonic, which is now out of production, but you can find it used. He did the Herb Verb.
Okay.
It's got his name in it. Telharmonic, Herb Verb. The Mimeophone.
Okay.
Which is just such a non-delay sort of delay.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Morphogene through Mimeophone, game over.
Okay. That sounds fun.
Game over.
Okay, I haven't done that. I haven't played with any of those, but I've heard them. I really like Make Noise.
So he, not to go on Tom Herb here, but he made his claim to fame was Sound Hack. Back in the 90s, he was making plugins that are just like amazing.
Okay.
Brian W says Echophone, which of course was the predecessor to Mimeophone. Yeah. Phonogene, thank you, which was the predecessor to Morphogene.
Okay.
People are helping me out in the chat here.
A lot of people have the Morphogene. It's so interesting because we all do different things. I find that we do different things with it.
Totally. Now, speaking about granular, have you played with Arbar?
Oh no, I was making a choice between the Arbar and the Morphogene, and I picked the Morphogene. But I would love to check out the Arbar.
I think that if somebody was going to choose from those two, I would definitely vote Morphogene. But Arbar's different and beautiful in a whole bunch of other ways. There's similarities, but yeah, Arbar is a blast. I really, really like Arbar.
Cool. So you have it?
I do.
Awesome.
I do. So Arbar's big difference is that there's just 6 little buffers, and they're just 10-second buffers. So it's a lot shorter and easier to deal with. And there's a visual component, which is different, dare I say better, than the Morphogene, because you can really see where you are scrubbing back and forth in those buffers. So there's that. But then there's also this built-in reverb, which you can use, that's just like the tastiest, most beautiful reverb.
Nice.
And also, I would say it's truly granular. It's a truly granular module, whereas Morphogene is more like the tape machine. Right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I love the aesthetic of the Instro modules too. They look cool.
They're really nice and high end, but they're overpriced, man. Like Arbar's like $600.
Yeah. My eurorack right now is 48 HP, so it's tiny.
That's a great thing. I mean, smaller racks, man.
I just built my first DIY filter.
Nice. What'd you build?
Last week. It is a AI synthesis, voltage control, MS-20 emulated.
Nice.
Emulator. Yeah.
Abe is great, and Abe is a great. God, I love him and his whole philosophy of like making it understandable, affordable, and really good too.
Yeah, I love the aesthetic. It's really fun.
Yep.
And it came in all these little bags with like really clear instructions. So it was like a really meditative step-by-step.
You're making me want to do more DIY. Damn it.
It was so fun. I haven't had a chance to test it yet, but I've got it all together. So it's going to go in my eurorack. And
cheers. That's great. I need to do more of that. I've done it. I didn't love it. And I've been kind of avoid it because my wife does not need another surface taken up by projects and shit where I'm like, I'm working on this. Don't, careful. There's a bunch of resistors there on the table.
Yeah, there's lots of little bits.
Yeah.
So what you didn't love building? You didn't love soldering?
I didn't. I would say that at the end, I was really proud of it and I liked it and happy it worked. I've done two little DIY projects. I would say that I liked the process, but not enough I have to be careful of rabbit holes and obsession. where I'm like, this is the next big thing I'm doing now is DIY stuff. I got to be really careful. She's put up with like 30 years of this kind of behavior, so I need to be careful.
Cool.
Yeah,
anyway.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to go on about soldering and things.
So you really liked it. It really like connected.
I liked it because it helped my mind just be quiet. It was quite meditative, and it helped me just feel really calm. So, and then having it at the end, and it was so beautiful, and I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, like I made this. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned when we talked recently that you were working on a collaboration. Is that something that you can talk to us about, or is it top secret? Awesome. We got to wait.
Well, I'm doing a remix for a friend called Proteins of Magic, and she's actually been living in Nashville the same amount of time as me, but she's a New Zealander, and we're both back in New Zealand at the same time.
Oh my
we
God.
met each other here. So she makes really cool electronic music, and she's got me on this remix, making this remix, and I've never made one before. So I'm just like putting her through the morphogene and putting heaps of arpeggiation in there and kind of giving her the treatment I would give myself.
Oh, that's so cool.
So yeah, I'm working on that. And then I'm trying to finish an album of tracks. I made 10 tracks last year during COVID when I was just in my house for like 8 months, pretty much.
Yeah.
Of like these 5U Moog systems I had access to.
Yeah. What was up with those? You were using those on the anniversary show set.
Yeah. So my husband works for this amazing synth dealer called Retro Gear Shop, and they have everything there. They have all of the classic and rare synthesizers.
That's great. Oh.
It's me borrow stuff until it sells. Not everything. I don't have access to everything, but so he was like, you can use the Model 10 and the Model 15 until they sell, and they took about 6-7 months to sell. So that time I made these 10 tracks. So I'm just finishing editing them and mixing them.
Oh, please put that out. Put that out like tomorrow. Please.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Oh my God. All right. I could talk to you for hours. I'm going to let you go. Just thank you so much for sharing your artistry here. It's just great. You know I'm a fan.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. And joining us
Thanks to everyone for
from the future.
watching and listening. Yeah. I can let you know it's good. Everything's gonna work out on Monday.
So we're gonna make it. Until tomorrow. The world doesn't end.
Yeah.
That's great. See, you heard it here. We're gonna make it until tomorrow. Awesome.
All right.
Thanks,
you.
Jess. My friends,
Bye.
Dream Chambers right here. All right. Bye. Oh man, that is some special stuff. All right. Thanks, Jess. Awesome. And I made it through without crying. I had cry face for a minute, but I kept it together. That's great. Okay. We're going to talk a little bit about things coming up, and just thank you so much for staying through such a really special show again. Okay. The next show that's coming up is the Patch On series, the techno show, the Patch Challenge show. That's coming up on the 19th. It is unbelievable. There's 34 people playing. I've received most or all of the videos because the deadline was today. If you're watching and you haven't sent your video, I'm not going to call you out. But there's 5 of you who haven't sent. That's going to be awesome. And the next performance show like this is in October, and it's a spotlight on the amazing scene happening in Montreal. Tangled Waves, you know them. They've played on the show. They're friends of the show. Olivier and Katrine have helped me curate that show. It's unbelievable. All right. So Spotlight on Montreal is October. I see Alexa Mom Taz in the chat still. Thanks for hanging out from Canada. She's part of that amazing scene up in Montreal. Okay, that's coming up tonight in LA. If you're here, Travarsi is playing the Reform show. We were talking about it earlier. Too many amazing people to name. There's a Black Noise stage where Richard Devine is playing. My sister Travarsi is playing that tonight in LA. Please join us on Discord for a little bit of chat. I'll do a little after show hangout in Discord. All the links are below. Also, I want to talk about a new show that our friend David Soto, Sign Mountain from Colorado, has started on YouTube. It's called Modular Beat. He and I talked about this a month ago. He was talking about some shows he was going to start, some ideas. He's like the idea guy. The guy's a wizard. Anyway, Modular Beat is starting on YouTube. Tonight, after the show is done and the video is processed on YouTube, I'll add all the chapter markers so that you can navigate the show easily. And with that, my dear friends, let's just have one last word about the music that I'm going to play on the way out here. And it's the music that I played on the way in. Friend of the show, Sam Dagigian, Morph Acoustic, you all know. His son, Evan, aka EQ Ev, 15-year-old, just released his third album on Bandcamp. Okay, it came out this week. If you think about how you want to support the kids and pull them in, Bandcamp link below. I mean, come on. Okay, EQ Ev, we're going to hear on the way out. And yeah, just thanks so much for supporting this show and being part of this. Most of the people in this chat are channel supporters or Patreon members. You are keeping this show alive and fiercely independent. Thank you so much. All right? We'll see you on the 19th for Patch On Techno, the first Patch Challenge show. I love you. We'll see you soon.